Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am so incredibly excited to dive into today's topic with you. We're going to explore a deeply fascinating psychological phenomenon that honestly is getting rarer and rarer these days. Just think about the people in your life who have completely opted out of the modern visibility matrix. You know exactly who I mean, right? They might have an account, but you are never going to see their face. No profile pictures, absolutely no selfies, not even a blurry photo from a birthday dinner. And society? Well, society usually treats us like a glitch. We just assume they're super shy or maybe deeply insecure. But as we're going to see, the latest psychology research paints a completely different picture. It's actually a brilliant, deliberate strategy. Okay, so let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question. If there are no witnesses, does an experience still have value? I mean, we live in this era where the unspoken rule is that if you go on vacation, eat a great meal, or get a promotion, you have to broadcast it for it to be real. But what if stepping out of that spotlight is actually the secret to truly experiencing your life? Here is our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover 1. The glitch in society, 2. Why they hide their faces, 3. Why they ignore the game, 4. The perks of staying quiet, 5. The price of invisibility, and finally 6. Silence as a superpower. Let's jump right in. Section 1. The glitch in society. Redefining modern visibility. So we're starting by looking at this overwhelming pressure we all feel to just be visible all the time, whether that's posting every move online or joining massive fandoms. When you don't do this, people literally look at you like you're broken. In psychology, there's a term for this, the audience effect. It means the exact second a human being feels observed, their behavior fundamentally shifts. And here's the crazy part, your brain doesn't really care if the audience is a real crowd in a room or an imagined audience on your phone. Just anticipating that social judgment fires up your amygdala and triggers a persistent low-level stress response. So when you see people unconsciously posing or filtering themselves, that's the audience effect in action. And this basically splits us into 2 distinct camps. On one side, you've got the performers. These are folks drawn to the spotlight. They crave that external energy and really shape who they are based on crowd reactions. But then you have the observers. Observers actually find their peace in quietly analyzing patterns, watching human behavior, and just paying deep attention to the physical world around them. They aren't disconnected at all. They just have highly selective interests. Section 2. Why they hide their faces. The digital ghost profile. So instead of being shy or having something to hide, psychology shows us a completely different profile for these digital ghosts. First step, they have an incredibly high privacy orientation. They understand that every image they share is data. It forms a public narrative they can't control. Second, they have a stable internal locus of identity. That's a fancy way of saying their sense of self doesn't ride a roller coaster based on external feedback. And third, and you see this a lot across different generations, they set hardcore digital boundaries. It completely explains why some people just refuse to celebrate their birthdays online. To them, life milestones are private moments meant for immediate, real-life connection, not a broadcast for a bunch of anonymous strangers. The really crucial takeaway here is that they don't fall for self-verification theory. This theory describes that constant, nagging human urge to prove we exist by seeing how other people react to us. When most of us post a selfie, we're subconsciously asking the internet, hey, do I still matter? Digital ghosts, yeah, they completely bypass that game. They just don't need a digital mirror to know who they are, because their validation comes from intrinsic self-worth. They simply don't need internet applause to validate their reality. They really grasp the profound difference between a life that's performed and a life that's actually lived. Which brings us to Section 3, why they ignore the game. The psychology of the non-fan. You know, this exact same desire to step off the stage perfectly explains why some folks show zero interest in massive cultural obsessions, like sports. While a diehard sports fan gets this huge emotional rush from the competition, non-fans are just wired differently. The science shows they actually have a lower reward sensitivity to those unpredictable competitive outcomes. So instead of riding the crazy emotional highs and lows of a football game, they prefer abstract thinking. They gravitate towards science, art, or philosophy. Plus, they have a really strong independence from social norms. They just don't feel that pressure to like what everyone else likes just to fit in. And this kind of flips everything we know about human connection on its head. Social identity theory says that people link up with groups, like a sports franchise, to build a sense of belonging and create an us versus them dynamic. But these individuals? They don't rely on a group to figure out their identity. Their connection to the world is rooted in their own individual ideas and creativity, not in wearing a team jersey. Section 4. The perks of staying quiet, the undeniable pros of invisibility. So what's the actual payoff for staying out of the spotlight? Well, for starters, they master their own emotional state by shifting what motivates them. Extrinsic motivation is all about chasing those quick dopamine hit rewards, the likes, the comments, the public praise. But intrinsic motivation, that's about finding satisfaction from the inside out, hitting personal goals and finding real inner peace. By focusing intrinsically, these folks unlock true emotional independence. And this leads us to this really beautiful concept called analog intelligence. These people intentionally choose the messy, mechanical soul of a real experience over the hollow, curated perfection of a digital one. Think about it. They'd way rather feel the actual wind on a motorcycle ride or the physical paper of a good book than hit pause on that genuine moment just to manufacture a photo for strangers. And get this, avoiding the camera literally protects your memories. Psychologists call it the experience-taking effect. Basically, when you stop living a moment so you can record it, it actively reduces your brain's ability to fully encode that memory. By choosing deep, real-time presence instead of documenting everything, non-posters walk away with much richer, long-lasting memories. Now, on to Section 5, the price of invisibility, the cons and social friction. Look, to make this a fair explainer, we have to talk about the downsides, because this lifestyle demands a heavy tax. Avoiding social media means people are constantly misjudging you. They assume you're antisocial, hiding something, or just deeply insecure. And ignoring cultural touchstones like sports, that means you miss out on that incredibly easy, surface-level bonding that comes from conforming to the norm. Ultimately, the price of keeping your life private is that you have to be totally okay with being misunderstood by the majority of people. And sometimes this silence stems from a much deeper, more painful place called traumatic intelligence. Research into childhood parentification shows that kids who were forced to grow up way too fast, the ones who had to be the fixers in chaotic homes, develop this exhausting hyper-awareness of social dynamics. By the time they're adults, the mere thought of inviting the whole world to watch and judge them, it's just entirely too much. They've already survived enough noise for one lifetime. So they're simply trading the bright lights of the spotlight for the safety of the wings. For them, not participating isn't some sort of weakness. No way. It is a highly intelligent, vital, self-protective boundary designed to keep their nervous system regulated, peaceful, and stable. Which brings us to our final stop. Section 6, Silence as a Superpower, Reclaiming Authenticity. We've looked at the science, we've weighed the pros and cons, and now it's time to completely reframe this behavior. It is absolutely not a glitch in the matrix. It is a deliberate, powerful stance. By holding firm on their boundaries, they secure real psychological safety. By practicing information scarcity, they keep absolute control over their own story, ensuring that when they do open up, it's only with people they deeply trust. But most importantly, they just get to exist. No exhausting performances, no audience required. They fully reclaim their psychological freedom and their authenticity. So I want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question about your own digital footprint. Are you posting to connect, or are you posting just to be seen? It is a profound distinction, and honestly, it changes everything. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep observing, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.